Hey everybody, I'm Robert. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Today is December 30th. We are almost finished with 2020. I think a lot of people have a cloud over their head this year and are really looking forward to 2021. So I do hope that it brings everything that you're after, maybe a little bit of normalcy in our lives. But what are we here for today? I've told you guys for probably the last 2 or 3 months that today I wanted to give away an e-bike, and I can tell you that over the last couple months I've really weighed myself, not about wanting to do a giveaway, but about, do I really want to share this story? Do I really want to bring it up? Because it is a story that, for me, I didn't tell a lot of people in my life. I only told somebody that needed to know, because I didn't need anybody worrying about me. I didn't need anybody being stressed about something that they couldn't correct or something that they couldn't handle. And it was a time, a season, I guess, where people really were limited in what they could do and didn't need one more thing dragging them down. And I think at the end of the day, for me, it doesn't really affect who I am or what I was doing. It was just one more thing to deal with and to go through with. And so even up to today, I said, you know, I'm not going to make the video. And then I was talking with my wife, I was talking with Misha and different people. And, you know, my wife even said, you know what, Robert, it may not matter to you because it's over, it's what you did, but maybe it'll be helpful to somebody else who doesn't take this whole situation seriously. Maybe it'll be helpful to the people that say, oh, this is just the normal cold, and speaking of COVID, obviously, this is just the normal cold and something we don't need to worry about. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. What the heck? I am going to do a giveaway as well. I'm going to do a giveaway on an e-bike, and it's going to be a little bit different. The way that we're going to do it is I'm going to buy an e-bike. I'm going to buy a Grape G5 e-bike, and I'm going to keep it at Apex for this year. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to actually do every month a giveaway that somebody's going to come to Apex. They're going to get a couple nights stay at the hotel and go for rides with us on the bike, and then we'll see what we do with the bike at the end of the year. I haven't quite decided yet, but I thought instead of giving an e-bike away to one person and that bike going away and then nobody else getting to benefit from it, I would rather that we bring people to Apex and we share a nice time with them and go out and do some fun things and ride the e-bikes together. Misha has one, I have one, my wife has one. And then now we're going to have a fourth one that you guys will be able to come out and ride with us as well. So I'll get to the exact details of that at the end of the video. This video is probably going to be more for the people who know me and you guys who are on the channel and want to engage and interact and talk about these things. But something interesting for you guys to understand is that if you have been watching the channel, you've been seeing me lose weight over the last, I would say, 8, 9 months. You've seen it, and some of you guys go back to a video that I made where I talked about the taxi drivers and like, oh man, who's this fat guy, you know? And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is that in November of last year, I was probably about 4 kilos heavier than I am now, and you know, so it's not too much, but it was a little bit more than I would like to be, but it wasn't out of control by any means. And then towards the end of November, I started getting sick. We went to Italy. We have a house there that we really enjoy going to. And while there, I started getting sick. And it started out just like any normal seasonal cold flu type of situation. But it didn't stop. It just kept getting worse and worse. And finally, I went to the doctor, and they did, you know, sonar testing and listened to my lungs and even an x-ray and things like that. And said, okay, you've got pneumonia, you have a lung infection, we need to obviously give you antibiotics for this. And so I started getting the antibiotics. I went through the whole treatment of the packet of pills that you do for the antibiotic. And by the end of it, I didn't feel better. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is interesting. You didn't even respond to this pneumonia antibiotic. And now we're going to give you a second one. There's a second type that we're going to try. And we're going to run this through your system and see if this takes care of this situation. Well, as I'm going through the second round of antibiotics, we're getting to the middle of December, I was not feeling better. I was actually feeling worse by that point. I was coughing and like electric tingles through my whole body, and it was really exhausting, tiring, and you know, I've had a lung infection before, and this didn't feel like that. It felt worse. But you know, I think you guys know where this is going. That if this was COVID in November and December of 2019. This was just whispers of something that was going around China. And later we find out that it obviously was a lot of places a lot sooner. And so I'm going through and just feeling worse and worse and worse. And I go in the middle of December into the hospital, and I say, look, something's not right. There has to be something else you can do. And The lady in the ER was actually really, if I ever saw her again, I tell you, she was really something. She actually said, "What are you doing here? It says right here you have pneumonia, you're on antibiotics, you've been on antibiotics long enough, you shouldn't even be contagious. I'm not going to write you a sick note." And I just laughed. I said, "Do you think I'm here for a sick note?" I said, "I don't need a sick note. If I don't want to go to work, I just cancel appointments and don't go to work. This isn't a matter of needing, a sick note from you." I said, "In fact, I feel very sick. I've never been this sick in my life." She said, "Basically, go get out of here. There's nothing I can do for you." And looking back at the time, she had no idea what it was, and she saw that I'm on antibiotics and thinks there's nothing more I can do for you. Fast forward another 2 weeks to 30 December 2019. I was going to bed and I was laying there, and I actually had a stroke that night. Now, it wasn't a major stroke. I was definitely disoriented the next day. Something, if you know me, you know that I'm very good with numbers. Math is a very strong suit of mine. Anything to do with numbers, I can just do very easily. And the next day I could not. I couldn't even function what time we should be somewhere based on what time it was now and something that's 3 hours away. I had just had it all backwards and all messed up. And so through a series of tests and different things like that, it was clear that I had actually had a stroke that night. And the interesting thing is that through all of these tests, it was seen that my arteries were clear. My heart, everything in my heart has no plaque buildup, had no issues at all. There was no blockages in my brain. There was nothing that shows what your traditional signs or causes of a stroke would be. And so the result, or I would say the decision or the determination from all of these tests was that a virus had, because I was sick, they knew I was sick and they knew I was antibiotics, that a virus had essentially come over my body and had weakened my heart, or I don't want to say weakened my heart, but stressed it, stressed my body to the point that it couldn't effectively enough pump the blood everywhere it needed to be. And one of the most sensitive areas to that is your brain. And so that was the cause of this stroke, essentially, was my heart was taxed enough that it couldn't efficiently pump the blood where it needed to go. Now, mind you, this is still pretty early in the year, and we didn't have proper COVID testing and things like that at that point. We didn't have antibody tests. That was still way out. And from that day forward, I was not sick. I had a lot of problems. It was difficult for me to type. It was difficult for me to walk efficiently without tripping over my left foot and getting in the way. Everything that took coordination from both my right and left foot at the same time, my right and left hand at the same time, was very difficult. Driving a manual transmission car was very difficult, and actually still is difficult to this day to drive a manual transmission car with the concept of, okay, I've got brake and gas on my right foot and I've got a clutch on my left foot. The exact timing between those two is not perfect. A lot of you guys ask me, do I left foot brake? I will tell you I used to. Today I'm driving mostly with my right foot because sometimes that timing is a little bit off and it's not exactly what I want it to be, so I'm using my right foot more. Still today, if I'm typing on a keyboard, I have to consciously slow down my right hand to get it to the speed of my left hand, and that pisses me off, so I type as little as I possibly can. So if you're waiting on an email from me, or if it's short, you'll understand why. There's a lot of delete keys involved. But these are all little things that are not, in my opinion, a major issue, because the most positive thing is that I'm healthy. I'm healthy in the sense that my heart's clear, my arteries are clear, my brain is clear, everything is good, so I can live with that. I'm fine with that. But we go forward and finally these tests come out, these antibody tests come out. And mind you, I've not been sick since then by the time that I take this test. And sure enough, I have the COVID antibody, and it's quite well determined that what caused my sickness in November, December was COVID. And it was one of the earlier cases of it because, like I said, we were in Italy, which is a huge place for Asian tourism, which we had even remarked that year. We're like, man, there's a lot of travelers here this year. And it was really interesting because it was an abnormal amount, and restaurants and hotels were staying open later than they normally would have because of the number of tourists that were there. And so, like I said, it was determined that that's what I had. And then as it pops up, people around me, some employees, family, they've got COVID antibodies, test results that have come back. And some of them were sick and some of them weren't sick. And so we're starting to see a trend that it was kind of around me much before it was really on the huge world radar. And then after this, we were starting to see reports, okay, first cases in Italy in November, some even saying maybe even end of October. And that's how it all came about. So that is my COVID story. So what I will tell you guys that you've been in my comment section and have said a couple things. One of them is COVID is a joke and it's just some government made up thing. I don't care where you think it came from. I don't care what you think the cause of it is or why it exists. That's your opinion. But the fact that I can tell you is that it does kick your ass. I definitely felt very horrible from it. If the stroke or the lack of blood flow was any worse, that it actually could have killed me. I'm very, very happy that it didn't, obviously. I mean, very lucky that it didn't, let's put it that way. So I think we need to be sensitive to the fact that COVID is actually quite serious. Anybody that's had it will tell you, or multiple people have had it will tell you it ranges from just mild symptoms all the way up to even death. And it's really interesting. You go back in my Facebook from some time ago, you'll see that I shared a story that came out in the summer that really kind of was interesting to me. That was talking about people in their 30s and 40s were having strokes after having COVID. And it was really interesting because I didn't want to announce it at that point, but I said, yeah, this is true. This is firsthand information. I can confirm that. So for me during that time, I was not able to be as active as I wanted to be. First of all, being sick in November, December, and January, just sick for those first 2 months, or first month and a half, I should say. I wasn't as active as I wanted to be. So I actually, from being 4 kilos heavier than I am now, I started climbing. I started getting heavier. I got up to the point where I was about 11 kilos heavier than I am right now. So I would say I gained another 7 kilos through all that. And then once with actually then having the stroke and everything that came after that, it was very hard to lose weight because walking was difficult. I would trip over my left foot. Not terrible, but I would trip, it would get in the way. And so, going on a 10-kilometer walk or even a 5-kilometer walk really wasn't something that I was able to do. And that made it difficult to move. I started feeling better. I was getting really bad headaches. I didn't drive for 3 months. So I wasn't driving for 3 months, maybe even 3.5 months. That's why I didn't drive at the beginning of the TF season. So maybe I'd say a month into the season before I started driving. That's why I didn't drive taxi until at least halfway through the year once I got the okays, no more headaches, no more dizziness and things like that. So that's why I waited to do all that stuff. But it was still hard to get walking and doing stuff. We ended up through the COVID season, we stayed at Apex. Through the COVID season, the COVID lockdowns. We stayed at Apex and I started riding my e-bike. And this was a bike that I actually got during this time and was hoping that this would be something that I could do, that I could pedal. I wasn't worried about, am I going to trip on that rock or that curb, or am I just going to do something stupid and completely discourage myself from getting out of the house and do this. So I got the e-bike. Now, this story is for some of you who have been in, again, the comment sections and have kind of, I don't want to say taken out on me, but taken out on e-bikes as a whole and have said, Robert, you're entirely too young to ride an e-bike. You should be ashamed, right? Somebody that's local here actually wrote me and said, Robert, an e-bike? Come on, man. And obviously I could have said, well, here's my story. And instead I just said, I ignore it. I said, okay, guys, we'll talk about this later. One guy said, if you knew everybody's story, you'd feel like an idiot right now. But I was able to take this e-bike and start riding a little bit in March, more in April, more in May, to the point that you guys started seeing it in my Instagram stories. Okay, I'm going here, I'm going there. And I started out, when we go out and we ride a bike, we want to go somewhere. I don't want to just drive around the block 5 times because that's all I can handle hills-wise. I was able to start out with the e-bike at about 80% assist. Now, 80% doesn't mean it's doing 80% of the work. It means it's 80% of the bike's capability. So I would start out at a higher rate and I would do a full lap around the Nürburgring. I'd come back, I'd park it. The next day or 2 days later, I'd do a full lap again. And eventually I'd have it down to 60%. Eventually I'd have it down to 40%. It's 5 stages. And then it got to the point where I was only using level 1 assist, which is the lowest level assist. And I was able to get around the entire Nürburgring on either 0 or 1. And I would only go to 1 on the steepest hills or anything that was steep enough that I couldn't overcome, would I say, the drag of the e-bike. And that was simply because the e-bike needs lower gears. It needs to be geared like a normal mountain bike. When you're in assist, you would only use maybe gear 5 and up. And then when you're not an assist, maybe you would go down to 2, 3, and 4 to get up these steeper hills. So at that point, I started messaging Grape and saying, "Hey, get me some more gears. I need more gears." And for me, it was something that I actually got to see my progress, not in lap times around the trails around the Nürburgring, but in actual effort applied, less power applied, or less power assist. I made it a goal to get back with more battery than I did yesterday. Get back, if I went up that hill yesterday using one level 1 assist, I'm going to try and get up it tomorrow with no assist. And for me, the entire time I was able to ride, I was able to do the same 26 kilometer loop, but I was able to do it each time. And my goal didn't need to be getting further, but my goal needed to be having more battery reserve after each lap. And so ultimately I was doing that. Then we started doing our summer vacations in Italy and everything like that. And if you know the Cinque Terre, the hills are crazy. When I ride bikes here in Germany now, after riding there, I'm like, I need a hill, find me a hill, because they pale in comparison. So when we got to Italy, I started in level 2 and 3 assist, and I was in 1 in Germany. I had to bump up the assist again, and every day I was doing rides where there was 1,000 meter elevation change increase, 1,000 meter increase in elevation. So going up these hills and then coming down, I was smoking brake discs. I ordered like 3 or 4 sets of brake discs so that I'd have them, because I was smoking brake discs because I'd have to come back down after those rides. And I got to the point again where I was now riding with just level 1 assist or no assist through my entire ride. And it got me to the point where I then, as many of you guys know, bought the Uno Dash. And Uno was really cool. He contacted me and said, "Robert, I want to send you a demo bike until your bike is done." And I actually now am able to ride the Uno Dash, just a typical, it's more of like, I think, almost like a cross-country bike. A lot of people will say, "No, Robert, with the geometry, it's a downhill bike." But it's a bike that I fit on well and I can pedal well. And I'm able to ride that on 400 to 800 meter elevation rides with obviously no assist because it doesn't have it. So the e-bike has taken me from a point where even just walking was a little bit cumbersome and annoying, to being able to pedal and ride all the way through, to being able to now wean myself away from the e-bike. And what's really cool about weaning yourself from the e-bike is that you still actually have a big use for it. I still use the e-bike to commute to work. So it's an 18 kilometer each way ride. I'll take the e-bike, I'll put my stuff in the bag, and I'll ride it. I'm not going to be fast enough on a normal bike to get there in the same amount of time as I can on the e-bike, so it gives me that. My wife and I, we love going on rides together on the e-bikes, and we go places and explore. You can go down any hill and you don't care, because worst case scenario, you can put that bad boy in 100% and get back up it. So even today, knowing I'm still nowhere near where I want to be, but knowing that I can ride my non-e mountain bike, the e-bike actually has as big of a part in the fleet of bikes. Here we go, we're talking about fleets of bikes now. But it has the same place as, I would say, a non-e-bike, and I think that's really cool and something that I hope you guys can recognize as well. But this is a long story to get to the short result. The short result is that the reason that I wanted to buy a e-bike and give it away, or do some sort of giveaway with it, was because I wanted other people to benefit from it. I wanted people who maybe couldn't buy one of these bikes because they are quite expensive. I wanted you guys to be able to enjoy this. And what's funny is I look at it and think, man, I wish I could buy 50,000 of them and give them all away. The reality is, obviously we can't do that. So how do we do this? How do we present this? And what I've decided, what we want to do, I spoke a lot with Misha about it, I spoke a lot with my wife about it, and just kind of gather ideas. We're going to do a giveaway this year where I'm going to buy a Grape G5. It's basically the same bike what I have, but with a hardtail. And I think that a lot of you guys will agree that a hardtail is a really nice way to go. So it's the same bike that we have, but a hardtail, Grape G5, and they have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. You guys can go check them out and see what I'm talking about. We're going to go ahead and give away a hotel stay at Apex. That's going to be 2 nights. And then it's going to be on Saturday and Sunday. Misha, myself, if my wife's in town, we'll all go on rides together around the Nürburgring. So you guys will actually come to Apex. You travel there. Please only apply if you can get to the Nürburgring. I think that this channel is based on honesty and us understanding all of our individual situations. If you're in a position where you have an e-bike and you could get that e-bike to the Nürburgring, please don't apply for this. Let's let this be for people who actually are like, man, I really want to try this. I want to experience this. I want to go out and do this. If you have an e-bike and you can get to the Nürburgring, let us know you can join us on the ride. This isn't an exclusive thing. You're welcome to come with us on the ride and come on the experience. But if I would like to have only people apply for this who genuinely need it. If you're in a position where you can afford to travel to the Nürburgring and you still want to enter because you're not in a position to be able to afford an e-bike, enter the giveaway. That's fine. If you're in a position where you want to do this but you can't afford to travel to the Nürburgring, enter this and contact me personally and tell me your situation. And I think that we're at a point in this channel with the people that are on it that I believe that if you made it this far in the video, you're tier 1 and you're not going to bullshit. You're going to say, I can afford to get to the Nürburgring. I can't afford to get to the Nürburgring. And at that point, we'll talk about how we're going to get you to the Nürburgring because I really want to see you guys there. I made a website, or I should say I made an email account, and that email account is mtb-trip, mtb-trip at apex-nürburg.com. I'll put it in the description. That is only for those of you who've entered that maybe can't quite afford to get there. Or if you just want to talk and talk about this giveaway, you're welcome to do so. The way that you're going to enter this giveaway, it's very important. The way that you're going to enter this giveaway is below in the comment section. You're going to write, pick me. I don't care if you write, hey Robert, great to hear from you. Hope you have a happy new year. Pick me. As long as pick me is somewhere in your description, that means to me that you're at least in a country that's going to allow you to be able to come to the Nürburgring in March. You're in a life position, a COVID position, so it probably means continental Europe right now due to travel restrictions, and this is going to be the March giveaway. So we're going to do it a little bit ahead of each giveaway. We're going to do it, and then we're going to use a program where it goes through all the comment section, and it's going to pull up a winner from each comment section. So I'm doing March today, so your comment today just needs to say pick me. Misha's going to do a video in a couple days, and he's going to do the same format, and in his he's going to give away April. Okay, so the giveaway consists of 2-night hotel stay at Apex. It doesn't have to be Friday and Saturday. It could be anything. It's going to be access to the bike the entire weekend or the entire 2 days that you're there, and it's also going to include 1 lap, which will be instructed in the Polo GTI. So that's lap ticket, fuel, the car, and an instructor. I'm sure it'll be Misha because that's what the whole idea is to spend time with you guys. And then it's going to be us riding together at least 1 lap around the Nürburgring each day and going different routes and checking different things like that out together. And like I said, we will announce the dates. If you guys have access to bikes, I don't care if it's an e-bike, a mountain bike, whatever, and you want to ride with us, you're welcome to join us. I really want the people who get this to be people that say, man, I need to get in shape. I need to get some motivation. I just need a break from my life, whatever it may be. If you're in a position to join us, please do. You're welcome to do that. In fact, I really would encourage it because I think it would make it even more spectacular. And that's how it's going to work, okay? So if you guys have any questions, you have any comments, please drop them below. Again, if you've made it this far, you're tier 1. I really appreciate all the support you guys have given me. I'm sorry for the long story. I know it's not car related, so we may not have that many people that have actually made it this far. But the reason that I didn't say anything to really many friends about this, to much family about this, to announcing it on channels and things like that was because, like I said, it's something that I knew there's nothing I can do to change it. There's really not much anyone can do to change it, to assist with it, to help push through this. And it was just something I said, you know what, we'll take care of it. We'll move forward. Many people were very helpful from team members to family to the people that did know were just all about helping out and assisting. And that was really cool. It was neat to see, and I'm very appreciative of that. But yeah, I think that things like this happen to us in life, and how we get through it, it makes a big difference. You know, we all have to deal with it our own ways. And I really hope for you guys that I've seen around social media, and I've seen a lot of things where people said, man, this year's been hard on me. This year's been tough for me. If you guys are having a hard year and a hard time, I think it's important to know that a lot of people have. You're not alone. A lot of us are right there with you, struggling and dealing with it. A lot of what you see on social media is, oh, I just bought a new E30 M3. Oh, I just bought that. Oh, I just flew here. Oh, I'm at this great beach resort. Keep in mind, a lot of the stuff that you guys see on social media is the good stuff. It's the exciting stuff. And maybe those lives that you're seeing also have some struggles, behind them. And that was a big reason why I wanted also to share this today, was that it's important for you guys to know it's not all gravy. There's a lot of hard work behind it. There's a lot of struggle behind it. There's sickness behind it. And another one of the most important things to take away from it is be careful. COVID is serious. Whatever wherever it came from, that's irrelevant. It is something serious. It's something we need to respect. It's something we need to look out for and try and keep out of our households, try and keep out of our workplaces, and do the best that we can. So anyways, guys, I'm not sure if a video is going to come out tomorrow. If not, I wish you all Happy New Year. I wish you all a safe entry into 2020, and I'm looking forward to, or 2021. Couldn't you imagine that? I've seen a meme where it says that the clocks just tick back to 2020 again. It might happen now. No, but I do wish you guys a great slide, as the Germans would say, into 2021. And I'm looking forward to doing some great stuff with you guys. We're today down here at the music studio. It's a small studio that we have where we do a lot of recordings, and we're actually going to make some changes down here that I'm excited to share with you guys because it actually affects this channel. So we're going to probably talk about that at the beginning of the year. We're going to have a little planning meeting tomorrow and then on the 3rd or 4th of January. And a lot of new cool stuff coming, a lot of excitement. I'm getting ready to go back to Florida soon. You guys know what that means. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for all the input. You guys are all top notch. Looking forward to 2021 with you guys. Take it easy.